Here we go. We are doing the week of September 4th. We're in September and we're going to take a look to check out what sort of energetic weather we're in, the starry weather report as it's being dubbed, which is fine by me, but let's just get right into September. When we look at this month, without even going close up, right? What do you guys see on the screen? You see still the same concentration of planets. A lot of stuff in Libra over here. A lot of stuff in Virgo, but even more in Libra now, right? Because Mars is officially sitting in Libra, right? Mars is comfortably in Libra. It's staying there. So we've got Persephone, we've got Ceres conjunct the South Node. We talked about that. Ceres is food and grains. And then we take a look at Virgo energy. Lots of stuff in Virgo, right? We have Mercury at 15. We talked about this on the last week's video. We talked about Mercury and the sun getting close to each other, right? And you see the sun is at 12, Mercury's at 15. So they're close. And what happens when they're close? What happens whenever the sun is really close to something, right? It kind of makes it invisible or combust, or what's that other word they used for it? Either way, it kind of, they say it burns it up because the sun is so hot. You get too close to it and it kind of squashes the ability or the keywords or the way that planet emanates. So Mercury is your mind and your thoughts and your talking and your relating and your communications. It's also coworkers and siblings and social media and your devices, right? If you ever have any issues with your devices, oh my God. So the sun being conjunct Mercury, because they're within 10 degrees, this is a thing. This will be a thing until the sun, see how the sun's at 12? Well, the sun is going to move 7 degrees. So 12 plus 7 is 19. But Mercury is going backwards. You see how Mercury is in red there? Mercury's going backwards. So as the sun goes forward, there'll be two ships passing in the night, so to speak. And so we have to wait until 10 degrees distance is created, and then we'll have a more powerful Mercury. And that does happen in 7 days' time, but we have to wait until the following week. So in 7 days' time, we're going to have Mercury at 9 degrees, which I'll change the color and I'll put Mercury over here in black at 9 degrees. I'll just draw it in close to where the sun is here, right? We'll put Mercury here at 9. And then the sun, oops, it turned into an arrow. So Mercury at 9 and the sun over here at 19. And that means they are 10 degrees apart. And when they have 10 degrees separating them, then Mercury is back to able to function and think and properly talk and relate and communicate. It's working a little bit better. While it's being covered up or burnt up or, hidden by the sun, the way we relate can be a little wacky. We might be getting our facts mixed. We might be getting our lines of communications crossed. Emails may disappear, right? Even the snail mail, there might be a mix-up. The neighbor got your mail. You got the neighbor's mail, right? Transportation and delays for sure. Expect delays. Expect things, all things Mercury to go a little wacky. Remember, this is coworkers and next door neighbors, right? These are siblings, so people that you live with and peers. And so it's just understanding that for that week, we're in that Mercury cycle where we're just understanding we may not have all the information. And even if we do, we likely don't have our stuff straight. Like we're not thinking clearly. Okay. So that's the Mercury situation. Now we move over and we take a peek at Leo energy. We're going to stay in black here just because it will show you the Leo energy. we're at Leo, and we see we got Venus still at 12 degrees, right? That's where she had to go stand still to stop retrograding and to go forward, right? And still sitting at 12. So she'll move ahead this week. She won't move ahead by a whole bunch. She moves up to 1324 in 7 days' time. So in 7 days' time, we got Venus sitting here. Okay, I'm having trouble drawing stuff. She's only moved 1 degree, roughly, a degree and a half. So not much movement, and that's fixed fire. So we got to pay attention to that because she is moving in tandem with Juno. This is partnerships. Think about Leo energy. Think about partnerships. Think about people who are public figures, people who may even be entertainers, people who we find entertaining, people who may not be like, these can be like self-created public figures because people have social media accounts, right? So these are people who are partnered up in some way in entertaining. Now, unfortunately, people who are politicians tend to be in this category. So politics and politicians, but partnerships is under the microscope here. Why do I say that? Because they're so close, 10 degrees and 12 degrees, and they travel through Leo going forward at about the same rate of speed, which tells us partnerships, they have to do with what we value, our desires. So there can be a little bit of the, I don't know how I take a risk with my body energy involved here. There can, in feminine energy, romance, but it's also money and values. What I like to do for a good time and fun, maybe some jokes and laughter, right? Color is a big deal, and art, but could be beauty and makeup and hair, like all that can be a thing. But look, let's go over to the other fixed energy for this week. And what do we got? Taurus. Taurus is fixed earth. And we know, according to last week's video, that Uranus and Jupiter began their retrogrades. And here they are, retrograding 15 degrees. Uranus is at 23. It's not a fast mover, so it's not going to catch up to Jupiter just yet. There is a video already out about when those two meet up, and yes, it's in the sign of Taurus. I'll hopefully remember to link that video below. If I forget, somebody comment to me and say, gee, where's that video? And then I can get the link to you. But what we're going to pay attention for this week is the tight square. You see Venus at 12 and you see Juno at 10. They're squaring Jupiter here. And Jupiter can also be those public figures. And it could be public figures as in money, as in the bank and the data, that kind of a figure, right? A number. It can also be a public figure as in a politician or somebody that we are hearing about in the news, especially when it comes to money and finances, but possibly desires because Taurus is there. Remember, Venus rules Taurus, right? 15 degrees. Jupiter exaggerates, expands upon things. So we're going to be hearing about it. Let me see my chart. All right, let me move some things around. So that's a square. You see that? Venus is coming across, getting closer to Jupiter, but it's definitely, now that Venus isn't in the red anymore, you see, she's not retrograding. She's going forward, which means she goes up in numbers. So 12, 13, 14. 7 days' time, she'll be at 13, and she's squaring Jupiter the whole way. The whole way they're squaring. They're close enough, especially since Venus is accompanied by Juno. So this is stress and tension. Remember, squares are stress and tension. There's friction there. And they don't always have to be bad, but it forces us to reevaluate. We are changing our priorities, and especially with Jupiter. Remember, Jupiter also represents, look at a heart showed up, a belief. That's the word I'm trying to write here. Our belief systems. Who and what do we value? Are we changing our mind about some things? That is a really big question here. And I think it's something that we can probably all relate to, considering that Venus rules Taurus, and we got Venus in Leo energy being squared by Jupiter, and Venus and Juno together squaring Jupiter. Beliefs. Our value systems are being overhauled. We are looking back and we're saying, that was a priority in my life. That was a value. Now, this is a big deal if you have something opposite of Leo, and that's Aquarius energy. Now, in this chart, we do have something here. You see this? In this chart, we have Hygeia. And this Hygeia has been here at this 13 degrees. It doesn't move fast. It's been here for a while. Okay. Hygeia tells us the state of our health. It just talks about the health of a thing or a person. What thing or person? The sign of Aquarius. Friends, group energy, possibly online, alternative power, alternative forms of energy, electricity. This could also be things that people probably don't want to hear about other than like solar and wind. It's another form of power, and it has a byproduct that is pretty dangerous, right? Radiation. So it's more than that, though. It's not just that. Aquarius is global systems, and that includes the global financial system. So this being at 13 degrees creates a big T-square with Jupiter and Venus. So money comes up like all the way around the board here. Desire comes up. Who and what I value comes up, and what I love. So I'm going to draw a black in here just to kind of emphasize this for you guys. So this is this week, all right? That T-square is growing tighter and tighter. Venus standing still, but partnerships are a big deal because of Juno, because Juno's there. So partnerships is a big deal. Now, for you in your chart, if you don't have anything at these degrees, 12, 13, 14, 15, maybe even 11 degrees, maybe even 10 degrees in the fixed signs, and that includes Scorpio. Scorpio would be at the opposite of Taurus. And there's nothing up in the sky in Scorpio. Look at this. Can you believe this? Right. There's nothing there. It's empty. But you may have something in your chart. And if you do, you see how this angles up, right? It would create square to these degrees. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay? Again, that's just stress and tension. It doesn't have to be unbelievably horrible. It could be something as simple as you reevaluating and reprioritizing in your life. And partnerships is key in multiple ways. Other than Juno and Venus, look over here. We got Mars. Mars is going through the sign of partnerships. It is in Libra here at 5 degrees. You see Mars there, right? It's in Libra in energy. Mars can inflame things. You know, we think of things being fair and balanced when we think of Libra and cooperation and how do I compromise? And this is the law, but like the scales of justice. These are lawyers. Think of lawyers. And Mars being there, it's a big like, oh shit. Might be some folks going down. And if you're pay attention to U.S. politics and news at all, you probably don't got to think too hard about what or who this could be, right? Mars in 7 days' time will be over here at 10 degrees. So it moves just 5 degrees in 7 days. Okay. Now, that energy can be beneficial for those who have anything in the air signs, and that's Gemini, anything in the air signs, and Aquarius at the lower degrees, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Aquarius and Gemini. That would be trine energy, right? And that's beautiful because it sets up ease for us. It's communication, it's talking, it's partnership. So even though Mars comes in, it can create, can throw a few monkey wrenches into it. If you have supportive things in the other air signs, you may be like, this doesn't apply to me. Like I didn't notice those hardships, like nothing happened. And that can hold true in your chart. We already had the full moon last week. that full moon that happened at the butt end of August. So we will not have a full moon in the beginning of this month, right? We will have a new moon, but that new moon won't be until next week. All right, and we'll talk about that in the next video, and you'll see a specific video for the new moon. But in the meantime, when we look at this chart, I think we have to pay attention basically to the red. And also, I'm going to draw in a little bit of red with the Mercury. I'll go purple with Mercury and the Virgo energy, because even though that Mercury and the sun are conjunct, remember that I mentioned at the beginning, and there can be that stress and that tension as far as getting my facts wrong or mixing some things up or having cross communications with somebody or losing the mail or having delays or transportation issues. Even though that's happening, it can be very beneficial because Mercury at this 15 here is trining Jupiter. You see that? And as Mercury goes, she's going to go backwards and the sun goes forward. The sun is then trining Jupiter, trining Taurus energy. So having things in Virgo up in the sky and then having Taurus energy, which is also Earth. But what about Capricorn? Yes, anything in Capricorn also receives a trine to all of this. There's a lot going on, but yet not, it's almost like just an extension of the same themes we've been talking about since the beginning of summer, because we had a Venus retrograde and now a Mercury retrograde. And now Uranus and Jupiter are involved in the retrograde. So it's an intensification of surprises and changing things up a little bit. Could be some exaggerations, possibly a change in my belief system, possibly something that has to do with travel and my belief about my future and the values of my future, the values of the money possibly for the future, and possibly needing to change my priorities and my values. Mercury sending beneficial energy, but we're waiting. Even though they're in exact degrees, remember, it's conjunct the sun. It's close enough. So don't make any major decisions yet. We're still waiting for Mercury to complete her retrograde and to get out of her shadow zone, which means she has to get to 22 degrees. Once she gets to 22, then we're in the all clear. But she's not there yet. And she's not going to be there yet for a couple of weeks. So we have to be patient, we have to be flexible, and we have to be aware of the communications. You got any questions? Comment below, and I will help you out in any way I can. I will see you in the next video. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye. Below the video, I'll have all the degrees for those of you who like to pay attention to the degrees in your chart. Again, if you don't know and you want to know, just comment below.